Hi, friends. We are back. We have all been across the entire world to Vegas and now back here to Eye on the Storm. And we brought a few friends. You recognize Gillyweed. Hi, Gillyweed.
Hi, entire world. Like a 2 hour flight.
you know, it was an arduous journey.
It was.
Yes.
Yes, we've been to Vegas. Now we're back for Eye on the Storm. This is a pre recorded episode, but I'll still be hanging out and chat during it, so you can always talk to me in there. But this is, yeah, like I mentioned, this is Eye on the Storm. We have guests on. We have two guests we're going to introduce in just a second. And we talk about what's happening in Heroes of the Storm in the community and in the game. Normally we do a play session after that. No play session this week, though. Then we'll end with talking a little bit about some cool things that you can find in the community. We're also on the Misscliks channel. Anna, can you give us that spiel?
Indeed, I can. Misscliks, of course, is an online community and live stream channel that's dedicated to uplifting and providing support for women role models in geek and gaming culture. So you can tune in here to find shows that feature women's faces as well as some other faces as well. We really appreciate what they do for us. So thanks, all you Misscliks out there. And there are some other faces that, like I mentioned, here with us, and these are our champion faces, our friends from C9. Guys, can you introduce yourselves and tell our viewers who you are and what you do?
I'm K1Pro. I play pretty much ranged in general for Cloud9. I'll play any range hero. And we just won the Americas in Vegas.
Heck yeah!
Yep, like he said, I'm Dunktrain. I play the support, so I do the healings. He does the carryings.
Feelings.
And yeah, of course, the big news is that Cloud9 has won the Heroes of the Storm America's Championship, and there's so much to say about that, but we don't want to spoil yet. We're going to get to a lot of that later. So I just wanted to start out, actually, by getting to know you guys a little bit better, K1Pro and Dunktrain. So just starting out, could you tell us a little bit about how you got into playing Heroes of the Storm, or how you got into pro gaming in general?
I've actually been pursuing pro gaming for a while, not just Heroes of the Storm. Not just pro gaming, I just wanted to make a career out of gaming in general. It didn't have to be pro gaming. Like when Diablo 3 came out, I started that, made a YouTube channel with my friends. We hit like 2,000 subscribers in a month and got a bunch of views, but that game didn't look that good. Like there were a lot of problems at the beginning, if you remember. So we kind of just gave up on that, and I just moved from game to game. I played League of Legends competitively for a bit, and then Heroes was like in technical alpha, and my friend just told me to try it. He gave me an account to try it out, and I just fell in love with the game. It was so much fun. It was everything I wanted in a MOBA, and yeah, I just switched games and rose to the top, I guess.
When you say it was everything you wanted in a MOBA, what is everything you want in a MOBA?
Just action, nonstop action. I don't want to sit there and farm for 20 minutes. Like, I just want to get to fighting, and Heroes is just you're just fighting against your opponent, nonstop from level 1.
What about you, Dunktrain?
I mean, he said it better than I think I can. I mean, I kind of didn't really pursue competitive gaming at all before Heroes, and then as everyone knows, Heroes just lined up with my schedule, I think, and I went hard as I possibly could, when it first came out in technical alpha. I mean, trying to make content, that sort of stuff, trying to do casting, being on teams, and eventually I just found my way onto a team and found some great guys to play with, and it's just been a blast since then.
What about that team? How did you guys all find each other and end up together?
Well, so our first roster, that was me and King Caffeine, along with Biceps, Sheth, and Pithix, was put together by Sheth for Team Liquid for the first exhibition invitational at BlizzCon last year for Heroes. And then, as time just went on, the roster swapped out based on performance or attitude or whatever ended up happening. We picked up K1 and Dream because they were great. They were on the other C9 team, so it was a really easy swap for them to come over to us. We knew them pretty well. We knew we had a lot of fun playing with them, so that was great. Eventually ended up picking up Fan at the same, another time from the other C9 team. So really that just ended up working out pretty well for us. And now we're here.
And here, where is here? Do you guys have a team house? What's your training situation, your living situation? How do you guys end up playing together every evening?
We don't have a team house. I mean, we're all just still just playing from home, practicing every week. We have a scrim schedule. Mm. Yeah, we also play other games together on the side, just like for fun. Like, we all get along really well. Yeah.
What other games do you guys play together?
Recently, we've been really addicted to Rocket League.
Everyone's playing Rocket League.
We also play like Dota 2. We play Magecraft, like Icy Banelings on StarCraft, the custom maps. Just, I don't know, we just love all games.
That's really interesting because I always think of pro gaming teams as having just no time to play anything other than their main game. But how do you guys make time?
Well, it's like I feel like a lot of the skills transfer from game to game. Like they all transfer in like different ways. Like Magecraft is just like pure just mechanics, just straight up mechanics practice, skill shots, dodging, juking. Then I don't know.
And the time you spend actually playing team games with your team, I feel like it does improve your communication, honestly, and the team bond, and that's worth something too. Like all the guys, when you look forward to getting into practice or playing games with your team after, I mean, that's just such a huge boon for team morale and stuff. Like, you know, you can count on those guys, and it's great.
Yeah. How often have you guys ever seen each other in person? Was the Heroes America's Championship kind of one of the rare times, or do you guys get to hang out a lot?
Go ahead, K1.
Well, I get to hang out with King Caffeine a lot. He lives 10 minutes away from me.
Oh, cool.
Like, just by coincidence, same age as me. We have the same interests, so we hang out a lot. Go for walks, you know.
Aww.
Are they on the beach?
Not on the beach, but we go for like hikes up on mountains and stuff.
Aww.
Yeah. But,
So then, how often have you guys been able to like all see each other? Was this one the first time?
It's like the third time, right?
yeah, third time.
Yeah, I think this is the third time. So one was at WCA and the YouTube event,
That was the first time.
one of our roster, and then at MGA Pack Prime was the first time this full 5 roster met, and then again at Vegas. So yeah, only 2 times actually total has this full 5 roster actually, you know, met all up in person and been able to hang out. So it's really, really awesome. Like, I don't know.
Do you feel like it translates how much time, you spend so much time together online and then you meet in person only 3 times in your entire life? Do you think that the online interaction you guys have translates seamlessly into real life, or is it ever kind of weird, or is it more intense?
It is the exact same, I would say. Like we're all jagaloons.
Jagaloons?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's our favorite word, I guess, right now.
Does it actually mean something? Did you make it
Yes.
up?
I
Yes,
think,
it does.
yeah, it has a definition.
Pretty much describes iDream perfectly, and somehow, like,
You could look it up if you want to.
whenever we get together, the dynamic in person is exactly like it is in comms and stuff, like in games. I think we're probably one of the only teams that's true of, from what I've seen. Is just like, I feel like our relationship online, in comms for games and comms for competitive games, and just hanging out, it's all the same, and it's amazing. It's so much fun.
We just joke around a lot.
Yeah.
Well, considering that this was one of the 3 times that you guys had ever seen each other, let's transition into talking a little bit about the Heroes of the Storm America's Championship. And what we're going to do is, like Gilly said on the show, we talk about kind of the community side of things, then we talk about the game side of things. So I wanted to start by talking about how the event felt, what it was like being there, and then we'll transition into talking a little bit about what we saw in the game that weekend. So when you arrived, I know there was no crowd there or anything, and actually I have the preview blog post here that I can show you guys at home, so you can see a little bit of what the venue looked like when C9 might have arrived. But maybe, Dunktrain, what were your first impressions when you arrived at the championship venue?
Okay, so when I first came into the championship venue on that morning, I was kind of groggy. I was upset we had to wake up early for media day. But then, like, you see the stage, and the stage is killer. It's like the same stage from BlizzCon setup, but then they like made some awesome improvements to it, so that was sweet. And then I looked out. The most striking thing for me was looking out on like the audience area, and I was like, oh god, what if we don't fill up all those seats, right? Because there were so many seats, and that was like my first thing that struck me. Was like, oh, they expect there to be a lot of people here, and I was worried because it was Vegas. I thought, oh, we're not in SoCal, it might not fill up. And then like on tournament day, I was so excited when it actually just filled up and it was filled to them. Crowds were roaring. It was so much fun. Yeah, that was my first impression for sure.
That was insane.
Yeah, and they arrived right on time. Like in Vegas, I expected people to like maybe filter in.
Yeah.
But everyone was there, you know? Everyone was there at 10.
Mm-hmm.
What about the first time you guys walk out on stage and the crowd is there? The first time that you played, what was it like? How did you guys feel? Was it overwhelming or was it just to hype you up?
I'd say walking out on stage was a little overwhelming. Like, wow, look at all these people who care about me. Like, once you start playing, like, you forget about it all. But I mean, you don't forget about it all because you hear the crowd scream every time you get a kill. Like, that's an amazing feeling. Just every time you just hit it like a lunar flare or something, you can hear everyone screaming. Like, it pumps you up.
Does it weird you out though when they're yelling and like one of your team members or you have just died?
I feel like I didn't even notice the crowd when that happened. Or maybe, I don't know.
Maybe the crowd was biased.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention.
Or maybe
to
we
that
didn't
part.
die that much. Who knows?
Well, here I have actually the Facebook album from the official Heroes of the Storm Facebook account. There's tons of pictures here. I'll try to center it for you guys a little bit better. But as we're talking about that, Gilly and I were kind of laughing. We were talking to Glaurung, who was just like addicted to the stage and the sound of the crowd and what it felt like. And so, K1, I'm interested, you know, you said you're not really a stranger to pro gaming, you know. Was it overwhelming at all seeing all those people, or do you kind of get used to it, or, you know, how did that feel? Do you thrive on that energy, or does it make it harder to play?
I've always felt like I've played better under pressure. But, I don't know. I forgot some of the question, actually.
Sorry. Just basically tell me about the energy when a crowd is screaming at you. Does it make it harder to play, or is it like,
I mean,
ooh, this
like
is what I live for, you know?
Yeah, like every time they scream, just it pumps you up and gets you excited to play. It felt great. Like, that was the biggest crowd I've played in front of in person. Like, I think I've played against like 200,000 people online, but it's not the same at all. It's so different when they're all in front of you looking at you and you can hear them screaming. It's so much better. It was really amazing.
What about like signing autographs? People had posters. They made posters for you guys. What did that feel like?
It was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
we did not expect to get that much support, as much support as we did. It felt really good. Like, we are all our fans.
There was a line for us for like an hour to sign autographs. We were just signing autographs, and we've never signed autographs before.
Aw.
Like, we went to PAX Prime or whatever, and there's like 5 people there who know us or whatever. Everyone thinks we're on the league team or whatever. Like, oh, there's C9. Like, what team are they on? I wonder, like that kind of stuff. But here, it's like, oh my god, dude! All these people came out to support us as the Heroes team and get signatures. Like, that was mind blowing to me. I don't know. It was just amazing.
I was so impressed. I've been to a lot of esports events, and as the host, you know, our job a lot of times is like go out on the stage, make sure the crowd's excited, get them ready to hear things. And so especially in the morning, it's usually like, let's make some noise, and like someone out in the crowd's like, I'm trying to help you, I'll clap, you know, and like nobody else is clapping. But I walked out, and like as I raised my microphone, the crowd's like, "Blah!" You know, they're just like nuts. And I don't know what it is about, you know, maybe it was the event was free, maybe it was that it was an easy to get to location, maybe it's because it was one of the first, maybe it's because it was so regional, like we had teams that were our hometown teams that we got to root for. I don't know, but this was one of the most perfect intersections of like happy people that I've ever seen at an esports event. Did you feel the same way, Gilly?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping that it's just because it's Heroes.
Yeah.
That's just my bias, right? Like, I'm like, well, it's just because Heroes is the best, and we have the best people.
Yeah. I'm wondering too, because I feel like there's something about Heroes that, because like you were saying, K1, there's like this super fast-paced action feeling to it, so you never have time to sit and be salty too long, and I don't know, for me, it keeps me really happy. I don't know. That's true for me. I don't know if it's true for you guys.
I mean, it just seemed like everyone there was just in love with the game. They were there for the game. That felt great.
Totally.
Yeah, I've even had like when we were at the Twitch party, somebody from Twitch even told me, was like, you know, it really does seem to me like the people who like work for Heroes and love Heroes and watch, you know, the fans just really freaking love Heroes.
Mhm.
So I'm just like, yay!
Yeah.
Feel the best.
Yeah.
Feel the best.
So I wanted to ask you too, we've talked about the crowd and what it was like meeting the fans, but of course there were all of these other teams there as well, and you've played against these teams, I mean, a lot of them since the alpha. You know these guys very, very well. You're seeing them in person probably one of the first few times. Let's talk about the teams that were there, and in case, you know, you're new to Heroes or didn't watch the event, the teams that went were Cloud9, of course, Tempo Storm, Cognitive, Complexity, Murloc Geniuses, and then from Singapore, Relics, and from Australia, Team Immunity, and from Argentina, Furious Gaming. Furious Gaming actually had to come in last minute to replace the team from Latin America. So they were kind of like, I know they were feeling a little like, wow, this is crazy because it was so last minute. But what was it like to meet all of those guys in person? What were your impressions of the other teams?
Overall, I found everyone who's at the event just really awesome. Like on average, all the pro players I talked to, everyone like was super cool. Even after teams got knocked out, I didn't see people being salty. I didn't see any of that. Like Team Unity came up to us afterwards and got like photos and had us sign stuff, and like everyone was hanging out in the player lounge area, and like everyone just seemed really cool and chill. Like it was so much fun, honestly, hanging out back there. The Relics team, yeah, I mean Relics and Immunity, you know, neither one had a great showing there, placings wise, but they were such good sports and like a lot of fun backstage. So props to them, and of course getting to meet, you know, Cognitive and Complexity, who we've played so many matches against, and getting able to put faces to names online is just insane. It was such a blast.
Did you guys like bond with any of the other teams particularly, or just all of them?
I'd say all of them. Like we talked to people from every team. They were all really friendly. It's great.
There seemed to be, I mean, the thing that everyone says is there's this rivalry, you know, between Tempo Storm and Cloud9. But the moment that I think a lot of people didn't see that actually really sticks in my mind was we had both of you guys out, Tempo Storm and Cloud9, because you guys were the ones that qualified to go to BlizzCon. And then it was, you know, the story is, okay, now we have to fight for the glory, you know, because there's this idea that, you know, you're right on Tempo Storm, you're about to steal it from them. And there's a lot of trash talk, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then as soon as the cameras turn off, you, Dunktrain, and Dreadnought both came over, like, shook hands, hugged, and were like, man, good job. This is awesome that we're here together. This is so cool. And that really stuck with me because that's what Heroes, the community, feels like to me is, of course we're going to compete because we're competitive and that's why we love this game, but we're so happy to be doing this together. And that was really cool. So I don't know, Gilly, did you see any moments that stuck with you that were kind of like community cool, or did you see you know, the teams interacting in any ways that surprised you at all?
I don't think it was like surprising to me, but I did love seeing all of the team members hanging out like backstage and even outside of the venue together. So many different team members, like we have somebody from Cog and Cloud9, or like Tempo Storm and Complexity or Murlocs, like just, you know, people hanging out, and I thought that was really cool. I even thought that it was neat that, you know, Immunity and Relics and Furious, I got to talk to all of them. They're friendly, and yeah, there's just a lot of camaraderie and a lot of, you know, passion.
Hashtag passion.
It was really fantastic. It was an amazing event to be a part of. I was so glad that I got to be there.
Well, and I was going to say too, obviously there's the teams, but there's also the casting talent. And speaking of that, one of the, if not the best caster, you know, is here with us.
Biased.
You know, like a little maybe, but not very biased. And but I wanted to know, of course, we had Gilly on the desk, we had Solid Jake, Kubi, Tasteless and Artosis were there, Trixler, Babel, and then myself and Chobra were hosting. That was really, really cool to be working with that crew, because my closest thing I've gotten to working with them was casting the opens with you, Gilly, online. So it was the same kind of thing that you guys were talking about with the teams, where I've worked with these people online a lot, but don't get to spend a lot of time with them in person. So that was really cool, kind of sharing a lot of those moments. And Gilly, I know that these are people now that you're starting to work with really regularly. So was that kind of a cool comfort having them there?
Yeah, it's always really amazing to work with those guys. They've always been incredibly open and like welcoming to me, which is just it's really nice because I know that it wouldn't always be that way with every game, but they've from the very beginning very open and welcoming to me, and I love hanging out with them. After opens we would hang out and like work together all day, and then we would leave and then go to the gym and swim and hang out, and like we just wanted to hang out with each other, and I think that makes our casting really fun because we actually just really love hanging out with each other and talking about the game. And I think Trixler came right in and was right there like hanging out with the rest of us. Tastosis were too. They were more jet lagged, so I think it was better for them, but when they were there and hanging out, they were incredibly kind and like nice. One of my favorite memories, there's a million, but right after my first cast was done, I like went to the bathroom, came out, and they're like walking up to me, and they're just like, man, we never heard you cast before, but that was really good, keep at it. And I was just like, thank you. It's really nice to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fangirl because I know we're like working together, but but that was really cool. And then of course getting to work with you. We've been doing this podcast, Anna, for more than a year now, but this is our first event. We actually worked together at live. It was my first live event anyway, but just together.
Yeah.
It was really cool that we got to do that.
It was a really cool feeling for sure. I was glad you were there, Betty. But I wanted to ask you guys, the players, because there's always things that, when we're up there working or we're, in different areas and things, there's always some funny stories that players have of like crazy things that happened or funny memories that everybody laughed at. And I know it's sometimes hard to think of them, but are there any moments that stick out in your mind, either as being really cool or as being really hilarious, or that you can make fun of one of your teammates for, because those are always fun too? Anything like that?
Like dunk picking the wrong hero and locking in in the finals.
I did not know that happened. I missed that completely.
It wasn't visible to stream at all.
Oh,
Or
good.
anything. Okay. Because the drafts were done beforehand, right? So, like, we locked in. I think all you guys saw is us raising our hands and, like, freaking out.
Oh, I did see that. I wondered what that was.
Yeah, so what happened, we call that pulling a calf, actually, because Caffeine has had that happen to him, like, 4 or 5 times in online and stuff. This is the first time it's happened to me, but I locked in Rhaegar in a game. We were all coordinating our skins and colors and stuff, so we were all talking, like, all right, guys, we all got to be on the right mount, we got to be at the right color, we got to look good. Get into game, and then somebody's like,
No.
Rhaegar?
We got into game, and we started about what lane Rhaegar was going to go to.
Yeah. And then, like, the draft was up behind us, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be Uther, guys. Something's messed up here. So, the admins had to, like, cancel our computers and, like, help us log back in and stuff. It was crazy.
I also, like, that stuck out in my mind because I remember that it wasn't just a, like, hey, admin, it was both hands. Like, I remember you being like, help me, both hands, come now.
I need an adult.
Oh, God, we were told to do.
Yeah.
Both hands.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Backstage, we had a really good moment when Babel fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of letting him sleep because he was jet lagged, multiple members of the cast and hosts took pictures of him and with him.
Yeah.
And Trixler actually tweeted his out. Anna and I were like, oh, we're going to ask and make sure that this is okay.
You have to wait.
Like, tweet, and Koofy's behind him like, ah. It was just like...
I had like pictures of a lot of people sleeping in the cast. Almost everyone kind of fell asleep at one point or another.
Did you get me? Because I did fall asleep.
No, I didn't see you fall asleep. I didn't get you. But I was gonna make like a montage, or a collage, but I didn't ask anybody, so I lost my chance.
Well, apparently it's okay with Babel because there's one.
Oh man. Well, any other stories before we move on to talking about your winning moment? Well, if it comes to you, let us know. No worries. But let's talk about that moment. So, to give you all context, if you didn't watch, which I don't know what you were doing if you weren't watching, and Chrome is not going to show you at the moment either. So just wait, maybe it'll be fixed. But anyways, Tempo Storm and Cloud9 have a little bit of a history. Gilly, you want to go over that while I work on OBS here?
Sure. Well, you guys have just been like in the finals of so many of the events for so long, and a lot of it has ended up with them on top. But recently in the ESL playoffs, they had bested you guys and sent you guys down into the lower bracket, and then you came back through, won a best of 5 with the last 3 games, so that one went to the full 5, and then won the next best of 5 since you did come from the lower bracket. So it was 6 games in a row, which is very impressive. And so then for this tournament, Cloud9 did lose Tempo Storm in the group, but then ended up still making it out because it was 2 teams per group. Bested, I believe it was Cogs that you guys were up against. Cognitive
In the round of 4, I
round
believe
of
you
four,
were.
Yeah.
And then went back up and won 2 games, and then the next 2 games Tempo won, and then you guys won the last game. So we even got like a full 5 games
Yeah.
for the finals, which is always amazing. So much better than just a wash, although I'm sure it makes it much more tense for you guys. But out
Yeah.
there, we're very happy. So yeah, just how did it feel? Was there a point where you guys thought that you were going to lose it, or were you always sure that you would be able to win it overall, the series?
Go for it, K1. I know what your answer is going to be.
Against Cognitive?
No, against
Or Tempo.
finals.
I honestly, after we lost the second game, I got a little worried. But after we saw the draft on game 5, I was pretty happy. Like, we choked them out of damage pretty much.
What was the happy? They have an Abathur.
Yeah, they last picked Abathur because we took Zagar away from them, and then I think we banned Vala.
Yeah.
So they were running low on damage options, and every other damage option looked pretty bad, so they went for Abathur.
Yeah.
What about you? Similar, Dunk?
Well, definitely was worried in game 3. I felt like we dropped balls super hard. Like, we were really confident going into game 3 because, like, sweet, we're going to sweep them in the finals finally. Really easy. We got this. And, like, we were so hyped. And then, like, our gameplay was kind of shaky. So 3 and 4 were definitely rough. But going into game 5, like, I knew after, like, 8 minutes of playing, I would say, that, like, we had this locked down. And the moment we realized I think we definitely had it won is, like, Rhaegar had, like, 15 or 20 coins on him or something, some absurd number of coins. Like, it looked scary because they had so many, but then there was a period of, like, 2 or 3 minutes where they just couldn't come out on the map, and we didn't see Rhaegar, and we're like, they can't even come out on the map to turn in. Like, we got this. Like, we got this. We had full map control, and everyone was so excited and, like, continued to play clean. So it was awesome.
Was Blackheart's Bay your choice or theirs?
It was actually their choice. So we were the loser of game 4, and we decided that we wanted first pick in the draft, which meant that they had map selection. And if I remember correctly, the maps remaining were Blackheart's Bay, Haunted Mines, and Tomb of the Spider Queen. And we hear a lot that Tomb of the Spider Queen is one of our better maps, so I guess they didn't want to take us there. Haunted Mines is kind of cheesy and coin flippy, so I can understand them not wanting to go there, so the only map left is Blackheart's Bay.
And there was Shrines,
Yeah.
And
which
Shrines,
is
yeah.
also new. I don't know.
Yeah, Shrines is new. I would have been surprised if they went there. But yeah, I don't know. They picked Blackheart's Bay, and I think our draft just turned out a lot better on Blackheart's Bay than even we realized going to the game on paper. There were so many tools we had that we didn't really account for, but just turned out so well.
It was funny because backstage, Artosis and I had just been talking about how both of us really love Blackheart's Bay, and we're like one of the only 2 people in the world. Nobody else loves it as much as we do, and we were complaining that we hadn't seen it all tournament, and we were like, yeah, we probably won't. And then right after that was when that got chosen. We were like, final game of the championship, Blackhearts, woo! So we were pleased, but it sounds like maybe you guys weren't so excited.
I've always liked Blackhearts, actually.
Really?
Our team likes that map, I think, more than dislikes it.
Yeah,
Definitely likes it more than all the other teams.
Good.
probably, yeah.
Well, I know we're going to talk a little bit more about like the strategy side of the game later, but I wanted to hear about what was going through your mind. And I know we asked you on stage, Dunk, especially, you know, what's going through your mind right now, but nothing's ever going through your mind at that point other than like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so now that you've had time to think about it, you know, what was that moment like? Share with us what it feels like to win the America's Championship. Maybe let's start with K1 since we have heard a little bit from Dunktrain before.
Oh man, just felt like this is everything we've been working for. Just we were up there and like we did it. We succeeded. We just keep looking at each other and smile at each other like we all knew like we made it. We got first place.
What about you, Dunk?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put that feeling into words, honestly. Like, just when we all got to take our headsets off and like just look at each other, and it doesn't sink in. It takes so long to sink in. I think it wasn't until the next morning that it really sunk in for me. But on that stage, you're just, you're just shocked. It's insane. You're like deer in the headlights. Oh God, we just won. Oh my God, freaking out. Like, everyone's like, oh God, we won! Yay! I don't know. Just an unbelievable feeling, honestly, to win in front of the crowd, and the crowd was cheering for us so much. It was like really emotional for me, at least, just to see all those people stand up. It was insane.
Loved all of the beard posters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my fans killed it for sure out there.
Yeah.
There was
tons
a lot of
fans.
choo-chooing
Amazing.
too.
Yeah, there were lots of choo-choos.
I was going to ask, this is kind of a strange question I always think, because it's all about how storylines get built in a tournament, you know, and so the storyline was like Tempo Storm's been so dominant. They've usually been number one. You guys have been traditionally this number two. And coming into the tournament with everyone, you know, all the casters being like, you know, the number two to win has been Cloud9, but this time maybe they have it. And kind of being like having that to prove. Once you finally did prove it and you're number one and Tempo Storm is number two, was that kind of a relief? Like, did it feel like a monkey was off your back?
Yeah, infinite, absolutely. Because I would say that one tournament of results doesn't mean that much, all things considered. Like, it's important, and winning ESL Major League Season 3 was really awesome, especially because it was 11 games between the two teams in the course of 2 days. Like, that's insane. That's
Yeah.
so many games, right? But just to back-to-back win...
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, all these people who had faith in us, all these people who believed in us, like, they're actually justified. I'm so, like, you're so happy that you didn't disappoint all the people who believed in you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. It's like, you know, all those people that believe in you, like, you want to win it for them, right? Just as much as you want to win it for yourself, I would say.
Yeah. It was pretty cool, and I know that there were so many people who believed it would happen too, so I bet that like proving them correct is really cool. Yeah, I think Gilly, you predicted the
Yep.
Cloud9 win last week, right?
Totally did.
Yeah, you got it.
I did not predict the other team correctly. That would be moving on though. So I'm 1 for 1. Or 1 for 2.
Well, so what does it mean for the future of your team? Does anything change? Do you guys just keep doing what you're doing, or, you know, how does this change anything?
K1?
Well, we just need to train for BlizzCon now. That's our next goal. Take first place for NA. Take it home.
What do you
wanna
guys think you
ask
have to do? Oh, go ahead, Gilly.
Well, I guess I had this question later on, but I did want to ask you, are there any like regions or specific teams that you are excited or nervous to face? Because we already seen you guys kick butt on Europe from MSI, but there are other regions there this time.
I'm really excited to play Korea and China.
Yeah.
Like, I always joke around to my teammates that I'm gonna 1v1 MVP Sake at Worlds, and that's my goal. But
That's your goal.
we'll see. We'll see if that happens. But I just want to play against really good players. I'm excited for that. I want people to punish me. As weird as that sounds, I want to be punished for my aggressive play.
Okay.
In NA, it doesn't really happen.
That's great. Well, and I mean, you're going to be going to the BlizzCon stage for the second time, Dunktrain, and it's going to be a lot different this time than it was last time. There's probably a lot more pressure and probably a lot more pride, I would assume, right?
Actually, I'm not sure because going into the last BlizzCon event, there's going to be way more pressure for sure. But going into the last BlizzCon event, I think our team had like really big egos actually going into that event because like a lot of the orgs like put together teams at the last minute and stuff, and like we felt really confident going into the event. Like number one, no chance anyone else, right? And I think actually losing there humbled me a lot, and I think going to this event I'm more confident in my own skill set and my team's skill set and a stronger understanding of the fact that we are good. But I don't think that I'm, crazy expecting to win. Like I want to go and put a good showing, and I think we can win. I definitely think we have the capacity to do so. But I know there's going to be competition there, and I'm excited for that too.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys plan to prepare? Because here you can just scrim other NA teams, but now that you've got so many different metas, what are you guys planning to do to prepare for that?
Not sure. We can't practice the other regions.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just hope our meta's the best. Let's hope Toronto's the right hero.
I believe.
Because Asia doesn't think so.
Yeah. We're definitely going to be working hand in hand with all the NA teams. They've all been really supportive.
Cool.
Like, even Cognitive Complexity Murlocs, they've been really supportive. Like, hey guys, we want to support NA going to BlizzCon. Tempo's like, yeah, let's get it. Like, we want NA to be the best possible going to BlizzCon, because when it goes from being, your own regional tournament, that's all like infighting and stuff. But then when you have teams that are representing you on the global scale, everyone gets behind you. It's like, all right, guys, we want our region to win. Like, we saw a little bit of that at MGA, but it's just going to be up to the nth power for BlizzCon. Everyone in NA, we know they're behind us and Tempo Storm, and we want to represent them and do well.
Yeah. It's a really cool feeling to get to cheer for like a hometown team, especially in esports, because we really cheer from afar most of the time. We watch so much online, we get used to that, but getting to like follow our teams from our hometowns. A lot of you actually live fairly near to me, like a lot of the NA players, and that feels really, really cool. And so I agree. Like, I think the entire region seems to be behind you guys, which must be a really cool feeling. And you said that they're gonna offer to like help you practice and strategize and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every team talked to me or K1. Like, every member of every team basically has talked to one person on our team at least and been like, let's go, guys. Like, you're our boys for Worlds. Let's get it.
They're really supportive.
Yeah. Even
great.
Tempo Storm, all of them, so supportive. Like, of NA, like, work together, make it happen.
Cool. That's
This
awesome.
is the best. I know. It makes me so happy.
Well, speaking of heroes being the best, before we move on to talking a little bit more in detail about the matches and how the meta kind of evolved and all of that, I want to talk about just what this event means to our community, to our growth within esports, because I agree there's something really special going on in Heroes, and in terms of growth, this was a landmark event. In terms of viewership, we went over 50,000 concurrent at some point, I think, which is our biggest so far that I know of. That we already talked about how much hype there was. So, in your opinion, what did this event do for our community in terms of growth? Maybe K1?
I think it did a lot. Like, I had people like from other games messaging me like, I want to play Heroes. Like, that game looks fun. They were watching. These are like competitive players from League of Legends and LCS or Challenger scene telling me they want to play Heroes of the Storm. It got a lot of exposure. It was great what happened for Heroes.
That's cool. Did you have a similar experience, Dunktrain?
Yeah, I don't know. The event was just insane. It was so much more hype for Heroes specifically than any other event I think that has happened yet, other than probably Dorm. But like, because this event had only Heroes and there was so much turnout and so much energy, that was the insane thing to me. I think if anything, it was proof that like Heroes can be an esport and it can make it big, like, and be successful. Because if that many people can be that passionate about it at this stage, it's only going to get better from here, and that's amazing.
I think what really surprised me, but made me really happy overall, is the amount of like love already for you guys as players and teams.
Yeah.
like you talked about lines for autographs and the amount of posters made, even for like specific players and stuff, and the teams was really cool because we haven't really had an event like this. They've always been online ones, and it's hard to gauge if people are just like, oh, I'm playing Heroes, I like Heroes, so I'm gonna watch this, or if they're actually really starting to find teams that they care about and players that they want to see succeed, because that, in my opinion, is what's going to make this an esport, like you mentioned, and keep people watching in the long term, is like their attachment to the teams and players. So it was really important to me that we like pump you guys up. And so and I know to all of the casters and to the hosts too, we were all really concerned with building the storylines, like saying things that we would talk to you guys about backstage, so that we could just insert every little tidbit we possibly could about you guys to build you guys. But then we get there and we already see people making posters, and it's like, they've already been doing that. People already love the teams, and that's so cool to see, and that does give me a lot of confidence in the game.
Yeah, the fans were amazing.
I was going to add, too, along the same lines, seeing how much Blizzard is investing in this, and, I mean, how top-notch the production was. I mean, when you come in as talent for an esports event, there's a huge range of types of events you're going to work. There are some where you're going to come in and they'll be like, hey, just go, say hi to the crowd and wear whatever you want, and just help us move the day along, and that's cool, like, and that's fun, and there's been some cool events like that. But then there's the events like this where it's like, here's your teleprompter, the stylist says you wear this is how prepared you are, here's your binder of notes, here are the pictures of all the teams, make sure you know their faces, here's the person that's going to be on your script, you tell them if there are any changes, like very, very invested in terms of structure and in terms of financially. And so to me, that's really cool, because you never know with a new game, like, what is this going to become? How much is Blizzard going to try and grow this scene? And they're continuing to show that they're willing to invest, which makes me really confident and excited. And I know you guys dealt with Blizzard quite a bit the weekend too. What was your experience dealing with them, and did they say anything that made you think a certain way about the growth of Heroes, Dunktrain?
Yeah, in the player lounge area, actually, there were quite a few, basically, like, discussions. Just got a whole bunch of the pros together. Everyone just, sitting on couches, chairs, relaxing, and Blizzard just comes in and, talk to us really, just on the level. I don't know, they're just super easy to talk to, relatable. Like, hey guys, you guys all spend so much time playing this game, you know so much about it and stuff. Like, we want to hear where you want it to go. Like, what do you want to see the game to move forward to in terms of the game, in terms of the esports scene, all of that. They were like super down to earth about it. We had some really awesome discussions. So it was just insane to see like Kim Fan and stuff like behind the scenes, like talking to us about what do you want Heroes Esports to be? Like, where do you want that to go? What are your thoughts on the game balance, game design? Like, what do you expect to see more of? What do you want to see less of? What would you change? Like, and it really felt like Blizzard, had so many people here, and they really stepped up to listen to us. Like, they wanted to hear what we thought, and that feels amazing because like we all love playing this game, and to have the developers and stuff talking to you and treating your they listen to all the feedback, and just to get an instant response to that feels amazing. It's so cool that they're listening. That's just such an amazing feeling.
That is really cool. I feel like they've been pretty good about that. Do you think so too, K1?
Yeah, like Blizzard is really passionate about their game and esports, and you can see it. Like, every single person you talk to, just they love Heroes and they love esports. It's really awesome.
They're really happy. Just, I think, to have that event, and they're just always backstage. We're just like, this is so awesome. Like, it's like cool to see them almost as fans too at the same time as like running this event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think is next? I mean, we have this structure built now. We're going to have the World Finals at BlizzCon, and that's a structure that's, built to continue year after year. What do you think we're going to see moving into the future of Heroes?
More, bigger, and better, I think, is what Blizzard plans to do. From everything we've heard from them, I think you will agree. Everything they've said has pointed towards we're going to go hard. We're going to go ham next year. Like, they said 2016 is going to be insane for Heroes, and I believe them. Just seeing the look in their eyes, like 100%.
Yeah, they want to make this game big. And they're going to put in a lot of work to do it, it seems like.
Well,
Yeah.
good.
Looks like we'll have more stuff to talk about on future episodes.
Yeah, good. We'll still have content. That's good.
Nice.
Anything else that you guys want to add about the event and the community? Any stories that you thought of before we move on? Because I do want to give us some time, even though we're not going to have a play session today, to talk a little bit about actual strategy in the game, because I know that's why a lot of people tune in, is because they want to hear from you advice on how to play the game. So anything before we move on to that?
No, I think we covered it. Just maybe reiterate, shout outs to all the fans who showed up. And actually, here's one thing. So for the casters and the hosts, this is something I thought was absolutely crazy. I got to see some of your guys' scripts, and they were in binders that were like, the school, like you get that one teacher in school is like, you're going to need a 5-inch binder for this class.
Yeah.
And you never do. But every one of these casters and hosts, I saw the scripts, they were like fatty binders, just page on page of like notes and things they should say and like how to transition. I mean, and they had like a few days to study this at most. I mean, that was unbelievable. You guys put in so much work to make that run so smoothly. It was insane. Like that was impressive to me for sure.
Well, and
I think the casters stepped up. Like, the casting team did amazing, I feel like.
I think so too. There was a lot of hype all around, and that was really fun to listen to. But I'll point right back on Blizzard on the binder thing. The fact that they had that much information to give us to prepare was really, really cool and kind of rare. So like, I give them mad props. Even, we did a lot of studying, but they provided the stuff for us to study.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the actual competition. Let's revisit the bracket here. I'll show you guys on Liquipedia someday when Chrome decides to come back. I will show you. If anyone in our community knows a specific workaround for making Chrome work better with OBS, please do message me so that you don't have to deal with this black screen thing every week. But let's talk a little bit about your favorite matches. Were there any big surprises in the matchups? And I'll work on pulling up this bracket so people can watch what we're talking about while we do.
I can go first. What you guys are thinking, if that helps. First of all, one of my favorite matchups, obviously the finals. They were so good. We went all 5 games, and K1, your Tyrande, we blew everyone away. It was so cool to watch. But then also the Entomb that King Caffeine threw out.
Yeah.
Right into it. I talked to him afterward, and he was like, "Yeah, something for the fans."
Sounds like Calf. Yeah.
The sound like the butcher made when he hit it was just like boom.
Yeah, it was thunk.
It's like what happened? It was so good. I also really liked Cognitive versus Complexity. That was probably my favorite of the matches that I got to cast. That's another rivalry that is always produces some really good games, and I loved the game too, where Complexity pulled out the crazy Asmodean strats. So that was really awesome.
Yeah.
And then it was a Relics game, and I believe it was Relics versus Murlocs, where we had Sonya, and then they had the Wombo, which is basically the Void Prison into the
Yeah.
and like the Miwa was able to observe the like leaf that was frozen on top of the Void. That was
I'm actually going to show
looked
that
awesome.
right now.
so good.
That was hype.
Infinite hype.
What about you guys? Did you have any surprises for you in terms of teams or matchups, or just favorite matches overall?
I mean, I'd say Cognitive came out strong against us on Tomb. That was pretty scary. Glaurung was just on point. His Kerrigan's pretty scary.
I think overall they surprised me too, because I was really concerned about the idea of them having a new person. We didn't even play with them in ESL. So
Yeah, that's rough.
yeah, I mean, we've seen roster changes really affect teams before, and so to have a roster change coming into this, they really came out swinging.
You could actually see Glaurung's play different on LAN. Like, you could tell he's excited. He went hard.
He did. Because I was like, I don't know how he's gonna be, and then he walked out the first time they were on stage. He walks out, he just like surveys the crowd, and then gets this big grin on his face. I was like, he's fine. He's gonna be
Yeah.
He's happy to play in front of the crowd.
yeah.
There was even a moment when the cameras weren't on where Glaurung came out from his seat and was like getting the crowd to clap along with him in a rhythm and stuff. And he came back and he goes, "You guys, I'm addicted to the stage."
Oh.
It was awesome.
Hmm.
What about you guys? What were any of your favorite matches? I'm actually looking at a PC Gamer article here. They named 5 of their favorite outstanding moments, and actually a lot of the ones, Gilly, that you pointed out were here. We have the Illidan stops for nothing moment with Relics versus Cognitive. We had an Asmodan 3-pointer in Cognitive versus Complexity. You were talking about the Asmo plays. The Void Prison Dunk, of course, is on there with the freeze in the air. And then the Butcher block, the Tempo Storm versus Cloud9 game where Butcher just thunks right into the side of Entomb. And a really cool body block on Uther with Divine Storm between Tempo Storm and Cloud9.
Oh.
Yeah, that body block was insane. That was so clean.
It was incredible. I couldn't believe that they managed to do it. But so those were the ones that PC Gamer picked. Were those your top 5, or were there any other either just matches in general that you guys liked or moments that you guys thought were really cool?
I think those were really outstanding moments, but I think as far as like match that wasn't ours that I really liked to watch was actually Immunity versus Murlocs. I think went to 3 games, and I think Immunity showed a lot of heart to be up on stage, and they played their match against us, and it was really rough for them. And then they had like no downtime, and they went to their next match against Murlocs, and to be able to, I think honestly, like play really well against Murlocs immediately after that defeat is just like, that shows so much heart, and like that to me is really like a lot of competitive spirit is about that mental fortitude. So like big props to them, and I was really happy to see them perform, in that game and that match against Murlocs.
Yeah, it went all 3 games. So like they really did bring it to Murlocs, which is it was really cool. My mom was super pulling for Immunity, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so cute.
I came down after that because that was my first match that I casted, and I came down after that. She was like, "They were so close. I really liked Immunity." I was like, "Did you just like them because their accents, Mom?" Like, no, they were. She was totally doing the whole esports thing, right? Or we root for underdogs.
Right.
Like right here, it's my mom. She's even doing it. We love the underdogs. So I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, just a side note, we didn't mention that in the community section, but Gilly's mom did come and watched like almost all the matches and was actually very interested. She's like, "I don't know what's going on, but I'm starting to figure it out." And, was just watching all the matches. So that's the power of Heroes. Because, for it to be interesting to somebody who doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, she doesn't play video games. She doesn't really do very much with tech. But she was like, "I am even just watching the ones that you're not casting because they're so interesting." I was like, "Oh, good job, Mom." She loves Brightwing.
Who doesn't?
I know.
I think that's something that live events actually really capture. Like online, the people who watch it online are the people who like the game or whatever anyway, but like when you go to a live event, I think it can be enthralling for anyone. Anyone can just, fall into that energy and have so much fun watching any live game played on stage. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, totally. So I think we cut you off. K1, did you have any other like matches you really liked or moments you really liked that you wanted to?
I like the Murlocs game against Tempo, actually. The second one on Dragonshire. I think Murlocs had such a strong shot to take that. I think they should have taken that game. And I'm really sad that they threw at the end. But they really should have went to a game 3. They played really amazing there. They looked scary.
I really like that we're seeing these other teams, like they are getting stronger.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
until we're kicked out of number 1 and 2, right?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying. No.
Well,
No,
that's
I mean, like, only a matter of time until we've got, like, this, a build out of, like, several really strong teams.
Yeah.
A really strong scene in general.
I wanted to ask on that. What do you, in your guys' opinion, what makes things so stratified that you and Tempo Storm really are recognized as the two best teams, hands down, and there's a gap that's recognized between you and the rest of the teams? That doesn't mean that, of course, that you guys have aren't competitive against each other, and there aren't moments where like these teams take games off of each other, of course. But what do you think makes you two recognized as the strongest teams? What separates you from the competition?
It's really hard to quantify, I think, because you'll look at a lot of games between us and they'll be close, but then just for some reason, us or Tempo Storm always pulls it out against Complexity, Cognitive Murlocs. The game will look competitive and close, and then just somehow there's something about us or Tempo Storm where we just manage to win. And I think Tempo actually had that against us for a while, where like the games would be really close or we'd be ahead, and then like they just somehow managed to win. And I'm not sure if that's something that's unique to Heroes, or maybe it's just in the players' heads or something. But I think it's really hard to quantify what actually makes that difference.
Yeah, it's really hard to say.
You're just
It
better.
almost seems like it's like as you start to get better, you get better with early, and then you can like keep toe to toe or even win in early. But it's like keeping that and holding it, and being able to execute in the later game. That seems to be like the final straw that almost separates.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, there have been, our meta has evolved, it's changed. Where do you think we are now? And I specifically wanted to ask, there was a lot of pretty standard play, and nothing that was like blow our minds that we've never seen before. But we saw things like triple warrior composition. We saw the no warrior melee assassin composition. Was there anything that you thought was really out of the meta, really strange that happened? Or did you think that it was a good picture of where we are now in terms of the standard NA play? Dunktrain?
I think overall the tournament represented what's going on in the meta fairly accurately. Over the course of the tournament, and especially in the later stages, you saw a shift towards prioritization of melee assassins and Uther, and I feel like that's really accurate to what the state of the game is right now, and people are learning how to utilize those really well. And I mean, the increased amount of Sonya we saw was something I expected. She's just such a powerful hero that has been overlooked for so long. It's really awesome to see her finally get some time in the limelight, because she's such a fun character to watch, honestly. And I think that's a huge boon too, is when a hero is good, it's also really fun to watch and exciting. Like, that's always a plus. Especially, I don't know, just, yeah. I think it was accurate. I think it was good.
What do you think, K1?
Yeah, I feel like we've pretty much played the NA meta, except for every time we play against Tempo Storm. Like, by the end of the series, draft gets weird. Draft gets really weird. Every time we play, we just get to evolve the meta pretty much, because we just keep countering each other. So I'm actually really excited to start scrimming them. Our meta is going to get a lot stronger, I feel like.
Cool.
I feel like that generally does happen, especially in the longer series like that, because it's just whoever can start adapting faster and like force the other one to try to adapt and not do it quite as fast, that being the winner. But I love where our meta is, in that we are seeing heroes that for a long time we didn't see, like Raynor and Sonya, like you mentioned. Like it's almost feeling like things are open, and we're actually considering like, oh, normally this hero doesn't get played here, but maybe in this situation, because of their comp, it can work here instead of the very stale 10 or 15 heroes that we did have.
Yeah, we definitely saw it branch out a bit. I would say that there's still some problematic heroes that you could point out. There's probably like 6, 7, or 8 that like you see really, really frequently, but we saw a lot of diversity and depth in those last 2 or 3 spots on each team composition. So that's really cool.
I think every hero has its place. Every hero has a place where it's strong. One day, Gazlo.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Gazlo and Sergeant Hammer. We're gonna win finals with that dunk train.
Absolutely not. I'll die first. Sir.
I was gonna ask if there are any heroes or strategies that you guys think are like super good, but nobody agrees with you, and you're just waiting until you're proven right.
I think Tassadar is really good. No one else seems to play that. But Sergeant Hammer also, I think, is pretty strong, and I would like to play her, but some teammates don't agree with me.
I think, for me personally, DPS Mouth actually would be really good in an extra support composition, but nobody wants to try it. Nobody wants to put the practice time in. So,
Not that I'm a source that you should particularly to, but when he was changed, like way back, and he was on the PTR, I would only play Damage Mouth. So, you know, you've heard it from here.
there we go, K1.
Mhm.
Let's get going, man.
Damage Mouth and Sergeant Hammer? Same comp?
Probably not.
Well, we're gonna definitely be looking for that at BlizzCon. So go ahead and get to work on those guys, and we'll expect to see those, you know, your scrims with Tempo Storm and all that. You know, speaking of BlizzCon, Gilly asked earlier if there are any regions that you're excited to play, any regions you're a little bit nervous about playing. Since we did already answer that a little bit, tell us a little more about your predictions for BlizzCon, or since we're talking about the meta, what you think you guys really are going to have to do to get in shape for BlizzCon.
For predictions, I think we'll take first or second place.
Good.
But yeah, we're really not sure how strong the other regions are. Like China, we haven't seen them much at all. We haven't played against them at all. And Korea, we didn't get to play against them. Tempo did, but we've only seen a bit of them. Could really go either way.
Is it just a matter of you know, practicing and making sure you're on point, or is it a matter of like coming up with some really creative new things that they've never seen before? You know, where are you going to be directing your practice?
I think you pretty much you have to assume that everyone's going to come to the tournament at peak form. This is the best or the biggest tournament for heroes so far, so you have to expect that everyone is going to come and expect to bring their A game. So you're going to need to look for edges in either unique things that only you do or things they haven't seen before. I think every team is going to come to the tournament feeling like they know something everybody else doesn't, and someone's going to be right and a lot of people are going to be wrong, so it'll be fun.
Really, it's like a clash of your metas, just straight up.
Yeah.
Every team has like compositions that their team is strong with, like stronger than all the other teams with, that they specialize in, and we'll probably just practice that. And if that doesn't work, then it's like, okay, we gotta switch our draft up and counter what they're doing because it's not working against their weird composition that we never played against.
You guys seem to be pretty good at that, though. How confident are you guys in your ability to like switch up comps or counter comps or just do new things on the fly in the middle of series even?
I think we're really confident with that. We have players who are just confident to play any hero pretty much of their role. So we're really flexible when it comes to our hero picks. We can play any hero in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. I think our roster has really deep hero pools, so it gives us a lot of flexibility.
Well, we love watching you guys play, and of course we take inspiration from you and imitate you in our gameplay. So as a parting thought, you know, a lot of people, like I said, watch this to get tips from you. So what's hot right now? What should people be playing right now? What should people practice if they want to be like Cloud9?
Well, if they want to be like K1, they're going to practice Tyrande. I mean, everyone knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Tassadar too. Maybe some
Yeah. Maybe some Sergeant Hammer.
You can be ahead of the curve. If you're playing Sergeant Hammer now, then we bust it out. You'd be like, I knew all along.
The thing about Tron and Tassadar, what makes them so great is they literally fit every team composition pretty much in the game. They are just so versatile. They can do everything. They can deal damage and they can support, peel, heal, shield. They have really strong kits, and they both have vision control too.
Yeah, that's definitely an underrated factor, I would say.
How about you, Dunk? How do we be more like the Dunk besides growing a beard?
Yeah, I know that's not an option for everyone.
Oh, I'm so sad. Oh.
Less facially hair gifted people out there. You can imitate the beard by playing Uther in game. That's definitely the way to go. He's got a kicking beard, but the Judgment skin is okay too. I know it hides the beard, but it's still okay to use the Judgment skin just because it's from old school WoW, and that's the hot. So you're good there. Definitely, Uther's my boy. I signed quite a few of the. They had some really awesome Heroes play mats, like desk mats. I don't know if you guys got to see any.
Yeah.
But there were people who were having players sign those instead of the posters. And I signed most of mine like on Uther. Like,
Nice.
Just that beard synergy too strong.
That's awesome.
I think that's a cool idea to sign the hero that you really like playing or that you're really known for. That's cool.
All right, guys. Well, we know that this is your week off, so we want to give you, some time to rest tonight as well. So, unless there's anything else we want to hit here, I want to go ahead and move on to our community spotlight. And for our community spotlight this week, community spotlight, we usually just grab something from the community that's cool, something that somebody made. This time I grabbed all the places you can find more information about this championship if you missed it, or any of the follow-up or the recaps or anything like that. Of course, you can go to Twitch where it was live streamed, twitch.tv/BlizzHeroes, and you can watch the VODs from beginning to end of both days. But if you want to watch a specific match, a really great place to go to, Chrome, is youtube.com/BlizzHeroes, and I'll actually show you the playlist here, but they're all nicely put out in a playlist. Do you guys ever go back as a team and kind of look over those matches and study them? I'm sure you do, but are there any ways you particularly process those?
Pretty much immediately, our players just individually start watching the VODs, and what we do is we link the timestamp of whatever we want to talk about into our Skype chat, and then we just say what we want to say, like, oh, look, you messed up here, blah, blah, blah. We figure out our mistakes, what we could have done better.
Yeah. The bots are a really, really important tool for learning how to play, I think. If you have an open mind, you have to be open to criticism, and you have to be able to take that, and you need to be able to utilize the constructive feedback that you get. But reviewing VODs or replays of your own games is so instrumental in refining your technique and being a solid player.
Mm-hmm.
You can also go back to ESL Play, and you can check out all of the matches and all of the brackets from not only the Americas Championship, but back into the Opens in August, July, and June. So you can check those out if you at home are looking to learn something from the replays. You can find them there. And then we also have a few places that you can check out just recaps of the event to see photos and things like that. There is on heroesofthestorm.com, us.heroesofthestorm.com for us. There's a recap. And then what else, Gilly? I think we have some photos as well.
Yeah, so there's the Facebook event has some photos, but then also there are more photos on the press site for Heroes of the Storm. That's like all of the photos that they took, which is pretty cool. They also have some photos that Ghost of Gamers put out in an article, ghostofgamers.com, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then redbull.com actually did an article, which is really cool to see a Heroes article on there.
Yeah, it's really cool that, it's alongside these articles about, extreme sports that Red Bull sponsors, and then right here in our esports section, there's an article about Cloud9 winning the Americas Championship, so really, really cool. Lots of places to check out and get hype, and I think there'll probably be more as the week goes on. I think people will continue to post, so as usual, just Blizz Heroes Everything is where you can find information if you're new to the community.
Yeah, and don't forget that next weekend is the European, I believe it is next weekend. Yeah, the European Championship. So if you're waiting to see who will be joining these fine fellows at BlizzCon, we've only got 4 teams so far. So 2 from China, 2 from NA. But after next weekend, we'll also know 2 coming in from Europe too.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. All those teams are so tight. Their skill over there is neck and neck. I think nobody can really call who's going to come out of that bracket alive. It's going to be awesome games to watch, guys.
Pretty excited to watch that.
So since you think nobody should call, should I ask your predictions about who's going to win?
I think if we give predictions, it'll be just because we've met Virtus Pro and Liquid, and like we had a blast hanging out with those guys. So I'm going to call it for them just because like those guys are super chill and fun to hang out with. So just for friendship reasons, that's who I want to see back at BlizzCon.
Friendship reasons are important.
I'll say Virtus Pro too because BKB is the best, and I'll put Bob ? As the other team to make it. They look really strong lately.
Bob ? I love that name.
Yeah.
We'll see which one of you guys is right next weekend.
Yeah. All right. Well, that said, let's go ahead and wrap up. Let's have you guys tell people what you're going to be up to in the next little while so they can be sure to follow along and where they can find you on social media and streaming and all of that.
Shout-outs for your sponsors, team too.
You can find my Twitter at C9K1Pro, and my stream is twitch.tv/K1Pro.
Okay. Yeah, so you can find me at Twitter at Dunktrain, and my Twitch stream is the same, just twitch.tv/Dunktrain. Shout out to Cloud9 and all of our sponsors, G28, Logitech, ZAM, BenQ, HyperX, Alienware, HTC, Log Class, Intel, Loot Crate, Need for Speed USA, NVIDIA, Overwolf, and DraftKings for allowing us to chase our dreams. And thanks for all the fans. Thanks for your support.
You have that written next to your computer?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
That's a long list, man.
Hey.
Yeah. Gilly, what about you?
Next week we should have a normal show, correct?
Well, I found out today that I actually may be on my way to Prague for the European Championships. So, we will see. So, stay tuned. We will find out what we're doing, but we will always have something for you. So, just stay tuned on Misscliks Twitter. That's the best place if you want to find out about Eye on the Storm goings on. Just follow at Misscliks on Twitter. You can also follow here on the stream to be notified when we go live. There's also a Facebook of that same name and a YouTube for VODs if you miss any of the shows. But what about you individually, Gilly?
Well, you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, all Gillyweed SC2. I know I have not been streaming regularly, and I apologize, but I promise I will be now, at least for a while. That's the best I can possibly do. But since I also do shows on here, Misscliks, and then also on TGN Squadron, be sure to follow me on Twitter because that's where I always announce what I am doing and where I'm at. What about you, Anna?
Very similar to Gillyweed. My apologies for the insane lack of streaming. We have been gallivanting all over the place, and that's not going to stop for a little while for me. But I miss you very much, and I love you very dearly. And if you want to keep up with my adventures in the meantime, you can follow me, especially on Twitter, at AnnaProsser. Also, AnnaProsser.com has links to all of my other social media. I am on Twitch at Twitch TV/AnnaProsser, but I haven't been there in a while, and I will come back as soon as I can because I miss playing Heroes. I love talking about it, but I miss playing it. So we'll be back soon, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you guys very much. Thanks for everything you did to make the Heroes Americas Championship awesome. And please do take the time to go thank our guests on Twitter for being here with us and congratulate them on their big win. So until we see you next time, farewell. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Bye. Yeah.